Yeah, he put some on.
Make them kingdom be the nation again, know it. Elephant shaking, the rumors breaking, cause we exposing. Got no more patience, your time is wasting, we quickly growing. Unite to Satan, we walk the path is forward. The king is risen, begin the end of a lie that's trending. So good intention, create confusion, answer the vision. And now you tripping, cause you ain't listen to mind your business. Get up and spill out your cup, then come be a witness. Know what the deal is, you missed it again, see what happened. But it's okay, cause we got you, all you need is a napkin. It be like when you taste it, that's how you know we snapping. Stacking up place for the go asking for some rapping. Gather all the corners, put them together and make a brick. Throw it in the ocean, watch all the water turn into spit. Not gonna hold my lips cause they poisoning all the little kids. Stop the events where they sacrificing and need peace. Barely got the strength to get up and make it out through the day. Every other sick, give it up if you wanna live, you pay. There to make a move to be free, but into the land we stay. Ashes be left to the place called the USA. Not gonna seek to the feet, stop and let the people out. If you agree, come with us, move your feet and close them out. Stop and let wait, cause the states ain't gonna see nothing but clouds. I don't know where to go. Come on, we headed south.
See, I got this number they might be able to call me. Is that Google number? Like if I could put that on under the comments, if people want to call in, we can have the but that's a Google, it's like a Google. They can call in. So what's up, y'all? What's up? Yeah. Y'all come on in. Y'all come on in. Welcome, welcome to the live. Y'all just heard the anthem of the Niggas Kingdom. Y'all come on in from my brother K Rebel. So y'all come on in, y'all. Let's talk about something you never heard before. Let's talk about something, man. Let's we gonna talk about something you never heard before, y'all. Now we all familiar with World War. There's no one in the Hebrew. I don't know what that means. But y'all, we gonna talk about something that we don't normally talk about. Because remember, we were slaves 400 years ago. We were slaves 400 years ago. So what I need to know about a world war for? Because that's how I wouldn't say I looked at it like that, but I felt the world war had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with my history. It has nothing to do with my people, the world war. Well, that's the biggest lie you ever been told. The world war had everything to do with us. Everything to do with us, y'all. And so what I'm gonna do tonight, y'all, we all gonna have a little call in. I'll probably say it later when a few more other people come in here. And we gonna get into certain things. So but this is a live where I hope you come in and ask your questions. And well I can give you some answers. You can ask me some questions that might even enlighten or inspire some more conversation that could go into this. So, as y'all see behind me, this is Tedros. For those who haven't, who unfamiliar, can y'all see it on the screen? Y'all on YouTube, see if you can see Tedros' face? I need to come closer. Can't really see it. Maybe I need to turn this light. Oh no.
On the TV, you gotta turn it right now.
It look better like that, huh? If I can get that ring out. So I'm really not gonna be able to get that ring out. That's the only way I'm gonna be able to see. But that's better, huh? Can y'all see him? Give me a thumbs up. So this is Tedros. This is an emperor of Ethiopia. Now, why do I have his face up here? Who is this man? You know, what does he mean to the world wars? You know. Now, when we go in depth into these world wars, he is going to play a big figure because this is where a lot of things started at. And see, this is 1865. Now, the first thing we get when we hear 1865, 1860, 1868, all we hear is Abraham freeing slaves. So again, in our mind, we don't even have nothing. We were slaves. So seeking a black empire in the 18 and 1900s is unheard of. It was no black empires in the 18 and 1900s. They all was tore down. Everybody was a slave. That's what most of our people think. Well, I hope this live changed your mind. I hope this live changed your mind. So in 1868, they had something called the Siege of Magdala. In 1868, it was something called the Siege of Magdala. Now, how many people have ever heard of the Siege of Magdala? I know I haven't. We probably don't even know what Magdala is. So, but Magdala is the place that he controlled. It was up around the mountains in Ethiopia. Now, if you ever seen the movie 300, that's a great watch. Because guess whose story you watching? Tedros. So you see how they take the history and whitewash it. So the next picture I want to show, I want to bring up the Siege of Magdala, the book. It's a book. Right there. So if y'all see this right here, it's the Siege of Magdala, right? The British, it says the British Empire against the Emperor of Ethiopia. Now, the person I just showed you was the Emperor, which was Tedros. But you got to understand what you're reading right here, because most people will skip over this. Because remember, 300 was an empire coming against 300 people. The movie 300 was an empire coming against 300 people. So you got the British Empire. So you don't have just the British. You have the empire. When you have an empire, that's other nations who have came together and they're in agreements with you. So they join you and you form an empire. So when you see the British Empire, it's not just Great Britain coming into Ethiopia at this time. It's also other nations who's coming with Great Britain to come against what? This emperor. Now, if you read right here, it says the British Indian Army. Why does it say the British Indian Army? Because the Indians is working with them. So, but they had 60,000 men, 30,000 elephants, mules, and horses. Now, you must not forget, we're talking about the Emperor of Ethiopia. We're not talking about the whole Ethiopia. You finna bring 60,000 men and 30,000 animals for. You bringing it for one man and what this one man has. That's why you brought the 30,000 elephants. But you notice when they came to fight these 300 soldiers, why did they bring so many people in the movie? Why was it so many ships? Why was it so many people coming for just 300 people? 60,000 men, huh? But you will see how they tell us this story and whitewash, and we don't know nothing about it because we don't know nothing about the Siege of Magdala. So how we don't know nothing about this? You know how many 60,000 men is, y'all? I don't think y'all know how much 60,000 men is. Coming to fight a man. So remember, this all took place in 1868. You coming against a black man because this emperor throw you off. You know, this emperor word throw you off. But how many black emperors we know about? You ever heard of a black emperor?
Nah.
You ever heard of a black emperor, brother man?
Not at all, brother.
So I know I haven't either. So remember, this is 1868. Now, we know about who? Abraham Lincoln as president. When Abraham Lincoln was president, Ethiopia had a black emperor with cornrows. Who the British Indian Army came with 60,000 men and 30,000 animals to subdue him. And they were supposed to be coming to get hostages. The hostages that he had, because these European hostages was working for the emperor in 1868. The British hostages was working for the emperor of Ethiopia. He wasn't working for them. They was working for him. We don't know. Now, you might say, well, what this got to do with World War I? Y'all, they had 30,000 elephants. So what did they take? What did they take? Do I have in here what they took? No, it don't really what they say what they took. But they took everything, y'all. Everything. 30,000 elephants, mules, and horses. Journalists, observers, translators, as well as artists and photographers. This was a plan, y'all. I hope y'all understand this was a plan. But who is head of this plan? Great Britain. Because remember, we're still talking about World War I. So now Great Britain carried all these things over with all these 30,000 elephants. They took it back well. They took it back well to Great Britain. Vatican City. Where they got a whole museum of what? All the treasures that they took. We don't even know where they took the treasure from. This is the history where Great Britain took the treasure from. Now they got many more other treasures. Now they have many more other stuff in their possession they took from other places, but they ain't never seen no 60,000 men and 30,000 animals nowhere else. See, we can say, oh well, there's nowhere in history where they sent 30,000 animals and 60,000 men nowhere else. So remember, because this is going to come back up, what Great Britain has and what they have done that the most of the world don't know about. And this was at Victorian time. So if you understand this, this is what caused Ethiopia to leave the door open for what? Colonization. Because you just unalive an emperor. Now this ain't no anybody. That's why 60,000 people came. 60,000 people don't come for nobody. If 60,000 people come in for somebody, that's like when the police pull up, you ain't ready to do nothing, man. One cop showed up. Let the whole street be full of cops. First thing I say, man, what he did, who he is. So yeah, what he was doing and who he was, people need to know about. You know. So now that Great Britain have these treasures, and the emperor is unalive in this battle, because Tedros got unalive in this battle. He got killed. You know, and because when you go read about the story, they're going to say he unalive himself. But you have to understand about the samurai. When you have secrets, you take them to the grave. You die with the secrets. You don't get tortured. You know, like, I had an old man told me he got captured one time. He was in the army. He said the people in the Middle East took needles and stuck it through his toenails. Like, you know how bad that hurt? Just think about it right now. Somebody taking a needle because you hard-headed and you don't want to listen, and they just stick it through your toenails until you start talking. What you going to do? You going to say two things, kill me, or you going to start singing? So back then, it was a code, like sometimes if you ever watch a ninja movie, y'all watch ninja movies? Where you seen if somebody lost, they'll unalive themselves? It's like a samurai code.
Nah, I ain't know.
You never seen that?
I ain't know.
But it's a samurai code. Like you die with the secrets, you take it to the grave. You don't expose the secrets. And of course, y'all, this man, you know, had that. So, you know, a lot of people try to diminish Tedros' story because he unalived himself. You know, so, but after he got unalive, y'all, that took the fall of Johannes. Johannes was the next king after him. Johannes was on the throne like 2 years. He died in battle. It might have been shorter than that, but he wasn't on the throne for long at all. So I'm showing you how stuff is trickling down. Leaders are dying. People are getting unalive. All the stuff gone. All the stuff gone. Leaders dying. People getting unalive. Now, after Johannes, we got Menelik. Pull up Menelik. Now, most people know about Menelik. You know. did. She didn't put it on. She must have put it on there. That's on there. I don't know. Go. I think it was another one though. Like, go back. Is it? Yeah, she ain't put all of them on there. So this is Menelik, y'all. I know y'all might can't see him, but most people know about Menelik. Now, what happened in Menelik time? Menelik began to make treaties. You notice Tedros didn't make a treaty. That's why they got rid of him. Johannes didn't make a treaty. This is Menelik. Johannes didn't make a treaty. He look just like one of us, huh? Boy, I promise you, look. If I put my uncle grow a beard right now and put a hat on, y'all gonna be like, that's Menelik. But he started beginning to make treaties. Now, one of the treaties is called the Angola-Ethiopian Treaty. The Angola-Ethiopian Treaty was in 1897. That is what? That's like right at 30 years. That's right at like 31 years later. 31 years later, you make a treaty with the same people who unalive Tedros. Something going on here, right? Like I said, once Tedros died, the door was open. Come on in. Come on in. When Tedros passed away, the door was left open. Right after Tedros, Johannes. He didn't last long. Now, somebody look up how long Menelik stayed on the throne. Before we get into Menelik's story, let's see how long Menelik stayed on the throne. Let's just see what went on. I think he got on the throne like in like 1911 or something, 1913 or some shit. And he got on the throne in 18, shit, I want to say, shit, 1880 something? Menelik II. Because, like I said, it's going to be very important to understand how long Menelik sat on the throne and the treaties he made and what led up to everything. Because remember, we bringing out why the world wars was about Africa. That's what we bringing out. Why the world wars was about Africa. Nobody ever told us this.
From 1889 to 1913, that's what you got. Yeah.
So he was on there from 1889 to 1913. So that's what? 10,
12.
No, it ain't 12. It's more than 12 years.
I say 12.
20. It's almost 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's 10, another 10. You said 1889?
Yeah. 1889.
That's like almost 23 years, 24 years, yeah. So that's 24 years he sat on the throne. Now Tedros was on there from 1855 to 1868. Like right at like 13 years, 12 years. But he sat on there for 24 years, y'all. Now remember, the first treaty was made with the people who took all Ethiopian treasures. The first treaty is called the Angola-Ethiopian Treaty. I think we got that. I want to pull it up and read about it. It's the Angola-Ethiopian Treaty. She can put on stuff. Let's see. She can put all of them on. Maybe I did screenshot it. But the Angola-Ethiopian treaty was with the British. And then in 1903, a treaty was made with the United States, which is the Treaty of Commerce. Now, the Treaty of Commerce was about what? Trade. Where does coffee come from? What America is known for? Starbucks, coffee. You know, so you got a treaty that's being signed by the King of Kings. Now, not to forget, the people who sat on the throne, they title of King of Kings. So now Menelik is making a treaty with the United States. And see, this is why Menelik had railroads in America. A lot of people don't know this. This is a black man playing Monopoly way before what? We started playing the game. So he started monopolizing because, like I said, this is what the world was coming into, because British was becoming a powerhouse. Because look what British had did. They got all Ethiopian sacreds and treasures. So British is coming this powerhouse, which is starting this monopoly to globalize the world. So what Menelik is doing is making treaties with these people. And once you make treaties with these people, what do? You offer them land, a peace treaties. Here you go, you can have this piece. Stay over here. That's what treaties are about. So he made a treaty with what? United States, called the Treaty of Commerce in 1903. And remember, he old now. You got to think about Menelik, like, he stayed on the throne for 24 years. I don't think he got on the throne until he was, how old he was when he passed? I know he was old when he passed. He was up in age. I never really checked his date. But but he was old because they were talking about how he couldn't. 69. You know. So when you really deal with Menelik passed away in 1913. This is when Menelik passed away, right? Now, remember, Great Britain got a treaty with Ethiopia, and America, the United States, have a treaty with Ethiopia. And all of a sudden, the man who did the treaties, now he's unalive. In 1913 is when Menelik passed away. Now, what happens in 1914? You got the First World War. Why? Have anybody asked themselves?
Crazy part about it is he died in December. He died at the end of the year.
Oh, that make it even more. That lets you. So, like, when he passed away, what took place? Somebody was fighting for something. Now, this is what people don't understand, right? And this is what I just found out. The Germans, it was called the German East Africa. Look it up. And it's called the British East Africa. Because if Menelik made a treaty with the British, other treaties were signed with other nations too. And see, this is why they always talk about the pen. Or they brought us certificates, and a lot of us did sign them. A lot of our African leaders, they didn't really know what they were signing. Like today, they do the same thing. The same thing they've been doing us signing contracts. We'd be like, damn, I done signed my damn life away. This is what they was doing back then. We were just signing our lands away. Now, whether Menelik was just lost, he didn't really understand it, but he did it. And when he did it, it caused what? The colonizers to set in. So soon as he passed, in December, right after he passed, bam, World War I kicked off. Now, what was they fighting for? And I'm gonna go into very, very detail on this, y'all, because there's a lot of stuff I gotta write up. I'm just giving y'all little nuggets. Now, I just told you what Great Britain did in 1868 to Tedros and what they took, right? Now, but Great Britain were the only people. You had Belgium and the Congo at that time, because by the time in like 1897, around that time in the early 1900s, you had Belgium in Africa, in the Congo, you had British in East Africa, and you had Germany in East Africa. And I'm pretty sure they probably other places, but I'm just speaking on the facts of the King of Kings and what Ethiopia means and the African Union and all these things, and how it's just one big mountain that you know we gotta move out the way. So by all these people being in there, and now he's passing away. Now remember, after he passed, his daughter got on the throne because he didn't have nobody to give it over to. So she ended up taking it. And you know what that did to what? The military men of Belgium, the military men of Germany, and the military men of Great Britain. You gonna put a woman on the throne? This is what they said. They say, Menelik, you gonna put a woman in your throne? You are insulting me. So they were pissed off at Menelik. So she had soldiers, which is a great army that nobody talk about. Well, she had women. She had 100 women fighting on her side. Nobody talks about it. They might put it on TV, but they don't talk about it. So she got put on the throne. Remember, she didn't have nobody. Now, Haile Selassie was next under her. So she didn't go talk to the Belgian people. She didn't go talk to Great Britain. She didn't go talk to Germany. Haile Selassie did. Haile Selassie was like the foreign minister because the foreigners didn't want to deal with her. They said they weren't talking to a woman. So this is what kicked off World War I. Because Germany, it's called East Africa Germany, and East Africa Great Britain began to fight. So Germany cut off the railroads of Great Britain of how they was shipping in materials and how they was trading with Ethiopians. They cut that off. That's what started World War I. Between who? Great Britain and Germany. But see, all we hear is Hitler. All we hear is United States and Great Britain. What about Africa? It's a world war. What role Africa was playing in the World War? We were just slaves? Now, I guess that's what we believe. 400 years shit. We all were slaves. They took all the black people from Africa and brought them to America. And Africa, everybody was just slaves. So what role did Africa play in the what? In the World War. So because Great Britain and Germany was in Africa and Belgium was in Africa, the scramble of Africa at that time, because they couldn't fully take Africa because Menelik had a strong army now. Menelik had a strong army. And he also had other people in the region backing him up. So they might have had other people in Ethiopia got mad because Zatu got on the throne. They probably said, well, I ain't going to help her. Who knows? You know, but this kicked off all kind of controversy. And again, this is what is called the East African Campaign. I want to know, do we have that? That's the things I wanted. Oh, so go back. No, right there. No, the read, yeah. Okay, no. All right. Let's go right there. So you see it. German East Africa. What the hell that mean, y'all? What the hell is German East Africa? Was colonized by the Germans in 1885. A territory expanded and covered the areas of modern Rwanda, I can't say it, Bernida and Tanzania. The colony's indigenous population number and 500,000 was governed by 5,300 Europeans. Although the colony regained was relatively secure and the colony had recently been shaken by the Mali rebellion in 1904 and 1905. See, we don't know nothing about these wars. All this is before the World War. This is stuff that was going on in Africa because the Berlin Conference, you had a scramble for Africa. But when you talk about the world wars, nobody mentioned Africa. It's just Hitler and Great Britain. It's a world war, y'all. It's the world, Craig. Top flight of the world. So you got the German colony administrator could call on military. It says 260 Europeans and 2,470 Africans. In addition to 2,700 white settlers who are part of the... So it's showing you how they occupied. I don't really, because I can't really see this good, y'all. So they had this right here. You got German Africa. You see that, right? Because remember, once you sign a treaty, you let people in. That's why they got rid of Tedros. Tedros wasn't signing no treaties. So you got British Africa right here. You got Belgium right here. This is before the World Wars, y'all. And you got Germany right here. And you got the British up here. You got the Horn of Africa. You got Ethiopia. So you see, they have already taken over damn near South Africa. They damn near got it, right? But they want this. They want the Horn. They want where the African Union is at. They want where the throne is at. Because Great Britain know about what? The secrets now, because why? They took everything. In 1868, they took everything. So by 1913, they had got it all together now. The king gone. He ain't put nobody on the throne. Shit, I wonder why. I need to find out why Menelik didn't find nobody to put on the throne. Oh, I'm lying. The uncrowned emperor. And he didn't want to submit to British. That's what he didn't want to do. He didn't want to follow nothing that British was kicking. So they never crowned him as king. That's why he's known as the uncrowned emperor. So that is the problem, yeah. And that's why the woman ended up going on the throne was Menelik's daughter, and Haile Selassie dealing with the British, dealing with Belgium, and dealing with the Germans. See, Haile Selassie went dealing with these people. Zatu didn't deal with these people because Zatu said she really didn't want to deal with them. And they probably didn't want to talk to her anyway. So, right now, the world wars was about what? The campaign of East Africa. It wasn't of South Africa because they already had it. The campaign was to get this right here, East Africa. Get these niggers right here. Get them niggers right there. That was the key. That was what World War was about. So, Belgium and Great Britain joined forces. Matter of fact, they got it right here. German territories, British territories, Italian.
Italians at the border.
Yeah, Italians at the border. The Arab, yeah, right here, the Eritrea. And Menelik sold this off to the Italians. He was the ones writing the treaty. He was the king of the kings. So everybody that came in was through him. That's why they don't like Menelik. You see what I'm saying? That's why. But you guys understand, y'all, when you in power and you got powerhouses and you just can't, it's either fight or make friends. And most of y'all would have made friends. You know, now so you don't really know what was going on. And like I say, Menelik was dealing with a lot of fights his own people. So like I say, we don't ever say what I learned. Old school man always told me this: never say what you won't do until you're in a situation. Now, you can speak on what you stand for, but never say what you won't do. Unless you're in that situation. So you see, before World War, you have all these European nations trying to take over Africa. Africa wasn't taken over with, they still had black kings. So they still had black kings sitting on the throne. The Solomonic dynasty was still existing. Then they didn't take over East Africa yet. That's why they tell us it never been colonized. Because when all these other African nations had been taken over and settled in, still Ethiopia was still not there yet. But that's what the World Wars was about. So what was Hitler doing? They say he was killing the Jews, the fake Jews. Yeah, so Hitler was fighting against who? The British. Because the British, once the British gained control of Ethiopia, they was going to become the powerhouse of the world. This is what whole Hitler mission was, to stop Great Britain from becoming the powerhouse of the world. Because once Great Britain secured the Horn of Africa, they was going to become the powerhouse. So you got the World War in 1914, right after Menelik passes, which kicks off for what? The gain of East Africa. And once the World War kicked off, remember, they didn't finish. Nobody won. It was like a draw. So they both went back to their country, they both regrouped, and they went to war again, and we know who succeeded, Great Britain. And where's the crown at today? It's in Great Britain. The same people who took all these things from Abyssinia, Ethiopia. Man, look at all this, the French. All this, the French. Boy. So y'all, I know a lot of us never been told the world wars. Go back to the They got another clause like that. I think it's either. No. The other way. It should be right next to this. You wanna go again? Go back. Man, I had two of them. No, it should be right. It should be right next to it. Remember I had two of them? Go back. Mm-mm. I had two of them things. I don't even see it. Damn, I must have. Ethiopia has 8 versions of the Bible. Oh yeah. No, not worry about it. Don't worry about it. So again, y'all, since we were never told that these world wars, or what role Africa played in the world wars, like I said, it really leaves a big gap in understanding history and what took place. Because when you talk about these world wars, wouldn't they be very important? Out of all the wars that they named, they only have 2 world wars. That should be important, right? Out of all the wars, they say they named 2 world wars. And the 2 world wars are very close together. It's not like the World War was 1914, and then the next one came in 2000. They were right behind each other. And the world wars lasted all the way from 1914 to 1948. 1947. I think they took, like, can y'all look up how long? I think the first World War lasted about, I think, like 5 years, 7 years, 6 years. It was like 1914 to 1923. Might have been 7 years then. The first World War. I think it
was 4 years.
4 years?
1914 and 1918.
So 1914 to 1918 was the 4 years, the first World War. Remember, nobody won. They had to go regroup. And so when did World War II start?
1913 to 1945 was 6 years.
No, the World War II. 19 what?
1939, my bad. 1939 to 1945.
So they took a long break. So they took a 15-year break, then a 14-year break. And that's why the second one kicked off. And remember what it was for. Now, if you pay attention, you said World War II started when?
1939. They took a 21-year break.
Now, remember, after World War II, the Italians came into Ethiopia and occupied it for 5 to 7 years. So in between that gap, what took place? The World War ceased, and the Italian coming in and what? Going straight to Ethiopia. While the gap of the World War stopped, they didn't stop attacking Ethiopia. Ethiopia still was coming. Matter of fact, Zatu fought off the Italians. So they got this gap, but really, you can say World War I continued. It didn't stop. It continued. Because Ethiopia was still at war at that time heavily. Why do you think Haile Selassie ran? Can we give Haile Selassie fled to, I think that was like 1930 something. He fled. Now this is like what, 6 years after World War I? Yeah, it's like 6, 7 years right after World War I. Haile Selassie had to go to Great Britain. He had to go to Great Britain.
Talking about after Italy invaded?
Yeah.
1936.
That's when he went.
Yeah.
And when the World War?
World War II start?
1939.
1939.
What year he left?
1936.
3 years later. 36. Yeah.
So World War II went on while Italians was occupying Ethiopia. And the first thing that Great Britain was going to do was to get the Italians out of Great Britain. That's what World War II was about. That was one of the first things they wanted to do, was get the Italians out of Ethiopia. Now, where was Haile Selassie at? In Great Britain. World War II, Haile Selassie went to Great Britain. Great Britain. Why the Italians have this occupied? Remember, what is the World Wars about? It's an East African campaign. Look it up. The World Wars is known as the East African campaign. It's a whole campaign to get East Africa. So, since British won World War II, what did they also win? They won Ethiopia where the Italians was. The Italians had already conquered Ethiopia. So they told Italians, hey, y'all go back home. Y'all go back home. And we gonna take over this. And we gonna bring the emperor back. He gonna listen to us, because shit, we took care of him for 5 years. We fed him, we clothed him, we kept him safe. So whatever we asked the emperor to do, he gonna do it. So let's go put him back in his seat. Let's give him that independence back. But they stayed there for 14 years. Can we put it up how Great Britain stayed there for 14 years? The British military administration in Ethiopia, following the defeat of the Italian forces, World War II, lasted from early 1941 until January 1942, when the Angola-Ethiopia agreement was signed, officially restoring Ethiopia's sovereignty. So another Angola agreement was signed, because Menelik wasn't living at this time. So Haile Selassie signed another treaty with Great Britain. Now remember, Menelik didn't run to Great Britain. He just signed a treaty with them because he was a king. He had that position. Haile Selassie went got fed, clothed, and protected by Great Britain. So when he signed the treaty, that was a renewed treaty. That wasn't the same treaty that Menelik signed. So you know it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more deeper. You know. So it says making their total presence, the British military administration total presence in parts of Ethiopia around 14 years. So after the Italians stayed there for 5 to 7 years, you got Great Britain coming in there for 14 years. World War II. So what was World? See, they talk about Great Britain, they talk about Germany. What about Africa? The World Wars was all about Africa. The World Wars, y'all, was all about Africa, y'all. And that's why I say what I'm gonna do, because like I said, I want stuff to be up on the screen because it's a lot of facts and the details I really want to bring out. You know, to really solidify, because like I say, once these things understand, we're gonna understand what World War III is about. Now, what World War III about? Take it back Africa. They took it. We gotta take it back. World War III. But it's not gonna be flesh and blood because it's gonna be with what? Principalities in high places. Because right now, we don't have to war with flesh and blood if we can prove these things in court. See, nobody ever had this case. That's why they had to fight with flesh and blood. When you go take this case, when you show this is a lot of people understand this is also part of the gospel. The gospel is information, not scriptures. The gospel is enlightenment, not scriptures. So once information come out like this, you can't refute this. The courts have to be held accountable. The courts have to be held accountable for these actions, y'all. But if you don't have the information to bring these things forth, you can't never bring the judgment. So what? I'm still the rabbit with the gun. Well, now we are the rabbit with the gun. And that's why it says when God show up, or when God say vengeance is not yours, now I see why. Now you see why you weren't supposed to take vengeance. And see, a lot of people understand everything that went on was through the power of God. It wasn't, and that's why I want to take the emotional side out of this. I don't bring this stuff to make people emotional. I bring these stuff to understand what we're doing, because at the end of the day, we're doing it. We're not telling you to do it. We're just trying to enlighten the people who need to be enlightened, because they're going to come forth once they see the light. We're not going to have to say, man, you need to jump on this, man. No, they're going to see the light. But we just got to fight through the bull crap and all the agents to get these chosen ones. You know, so y'all see, y'all. So Ethiopia was damn near occupied for 21 years down there. 19 to 21 years, Ethiopia was occupied with foreign nations with no control and no power, without help from the European nations. So I want to know, do I have that up there where it talks about the East African, World War II was the East African campaign? Oh, I'll go back to that one and read that. Ethiopia was one of the first countries to take part in America Peace Corps program, which emphasizes agriculture, based education. What's the basis of education? Christ, God. Tourism, health, economic development, teaching English as a foreign language. So Ethiopia was one of the first countries. And they always stick this out here, one of the first. Shit, they was the first. Go ahead. But I want to talk about how, if you look up World War II, y'all, World War II was the East African campaign. East African campaign, World War II. East African Campaign, World War. So, the East African Campaign in World War II was a military operation fought primarily between British Commonwealth forces and Italian colonial troops in the region of East Africa, including Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Italian Somalian between 1940 and 1941. So they let you know World War II they had an East African campaign in World War II. Why we don't know about this? Why we don't know? So when I'm sitting there telling y'all, World War I and World War II was about the scramble of Africa, mainly East Africa, because what? That's where the throne of David is at. That's where the majesty is at. That's where the King of Kings is at. That's where the Ark of the Covenant is at. It's mighty funny. And so like I say, this is low-level information. How can somebody tell us the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia? Why would they tell us? Why are they in Israel? Why are they in Jerusalem? Why is it in Ethiopia, y'all? You know. So like I said, y'all, you know, it's just things, man, we have to understand, y'all, that these are little breadcrumbs that will open your mind up and let you see why World War III is here. World War III is here, y'all, and it's simply taking Africa back. That's all it's about. That's what World War I was about, taking Africa. World War II was about Africa. And the last thing I'm gonna leave y'all with was the Berlin Conference. I forgot to pull that up. Berlin Conference. I just wanted to. I got it. So the Berlin Conference was in 1884 and 1885. So when they settled in all them lands, they had a plan. Now the Berlin Conference did not include one African leader. Y'all knew that? The Berlin Conference did not include not one African leader. What the hell? No African leader was at the Berlin Conference when these colonizers would say, well, you know what? I want that little piece of land. I want that little piece of land. What you coming in here for? They weren't at the conference, so what? The African leaders didn't know. So right now, y'all, like I said, it's these things that help you understand why these world wars was about Africa. And we don't know this, and we don't understand why Africa is so important. And we're dealing with a lot of people right now that'll tell us what? Man, mother, fuck Africa. I ain't going no damn Africa. Right now. When these people put in blood and sweat and tears to take Africa. And now we don't even care about it. So, like I say, y'all, I'm going to go in a little more depth. I'm going to get a lot of details and a lot of, you know, get a lot more facts. I'm going to show y'all the paperwork. I'm trying to get my screen better where I can have it on the screen where y'all can see it. I really want y'all to see it because I know showing y'all is better, you know, better than me talking. So, but that's what I leave y'all with, y'all. I hope y'all walk y'all down the steps. If you wasn't here at the beginning, I talked about the Siege of Magdala in 1868. I talked about the Angola-Ethiopian Treaty in 1897. I talked about the Treaty of Commerce in 1903 with the United States. And all these are Ethiopian treaties that are being put out. And I talk about Menelik passing away in 1913. And in 1914, you know what happened. That kicked off the world wars. So the same man that made the treaties with the Berlin Conference, after he passed away, the world wars began. Because they was going to take it. Because only he knew certain things that probably did nobody else know. Now, whether he passed it down to Zatu, I don't know. But he knew a lot. So when he left, they came in. But that's all. Y'all got something y'all want to say, brothers? Well, with that, y'all, I hope you got some Jews. I hope you wasn't enlightened. But if you didn't know, now you know. Peace.